What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Let's start with Arman Sarukian and his recent comments regarding Dana White. Over the past couple of weeks, there's been clear tension between Arman and the UFC president over Arman being passed over for a title shot. Arman believes he deserves to be next in line, while Dana White has been doing multiple interviews explaining why that isn't happening right now. However, during a recent live stream with Neon, Arman took a different approach and actually praised Dana White. Arman said that what he respects most about Dana is how he helps people when they're going through tough situations. He mentioned that Dana often supports fighters financially when they're struggling, such as helping people who need money, assisting those dealing with accidents, or even sending extra money to fighters who are considering retirement. That said, Arman also added that this kind of support seems to be reserved for fighters Dana personally likes. Shifting gears, Islam Makhachev recently spoke about his fight against Jack Della Maddalena and admitted that he was surprised by how little resistance he faced in certain areas. Islam put on a dominant performance at UFC 322, controlling Jack for the majority of the fight. In a new interview with Match TV, Islam explained that after studying Jack's previous fights, he noticed a pattern in how Jack got back to his feet after being taken down. Islam said that Jack relied heavily on the same reversal every time. When Islam took him down and saw Jack attempt that same move, he was already prepared for it and easily shut it down. At that moment, Islam realized that Jack didn't have any other effective ways to escape or stand back up. According to Islam, once he defended that one move, the fight was essentially over, and Jack spent almost the entire bout under pressure without having time to work on his feet. Islam added that if they ever rematch, he hopes Jack improves his wrestling and adds more tools to his game. During the same interview, Islam also dismissed the idea of returning to the lightweight division. He made it clear that going back down for a belt doesn't interest him anymore. Islam said he was already champion at lightweight and doesn't feel the need to prove anything there. He went on to welcome Ilia Topuria moving up to welterweight if he wants that fight, explaining that Ilia has nothing to lose by moving up. If Ilia were to lose, he could simply return to lightweight and continue defending his belt. Islam pointed out that Ilia still has plenty to prove in his own division and noted that Arman Sarukian has been calling Ilia out consistently. While Islam acknowledged that Ilia still has work to do at lightweight, he also admitted that eventually the two will have to fight, and if it happens, it would likely take place at welterweight. Next, Joe Pyfer had some strong words ahead of his upcoming fight with Israel Adesanya. Just a few days ago, Dana White announced that Adesanya will face Pyfer at UFC Seattle in March. Speaking with Ariel Helwani, Pyfer sent a clear warning to Izzy. He said that while he respects Adesanya as a person and appreciates everything he's accomplished, none of that will matter once they're locked inside the cage. Pyfer made it clear that he plans to come forward aggressively and isn't afraid to exchange big shots. He said he enjoys chaos, brawls, and hard exchanges, and he's not stepping into the cage to play it safe or pretend they're friends. Pyfer emphasized that he's going in with the intention of taking something from Adesanya, and that he won't hesitate when the moment comes. Pyfer also admitted that he doesn't believe he necessarily deserves this fight, but he's grateful that he got the call. He said it could have gone to someone else, but the opportunity landed on him, and he's ready to make the most of it. He also took a shot at Paulo Costa, explaining that a fight with Costa doesn't really benefit him much. Pyfer hinted out that Costa is ranked just ahead of him and that beating him wouldn't significantly improve his position. He added that Costa's inactivity over the past several years also played a role in why that fight didn't interest him. According to Pyfer, the Adesanya fight wasn't even on his radar, but when the opportunity came, he couldn't say no. Kyle Baralho responded to Pyfer's comments by poking fun at Paulo Costa on social media, sarcastically calling Costa super relevant and joking about his upcoming matchup. Pyfer later added that he'd love to be part of the UFC White House card, even claiming to be one of the most American fighters on the roster. While he isn't sure who he'd face on that card, he said he's already campaigning for American-themed UFC shorts. Still, before any of that becomes reality, Pyfer will first need to get past Adesanya. Let us know your predictions for UFC Seattle and whether you think Pyfer can pull off the upset. Unfortunately, more bad news followed for UFC 324. According to the Eagle Tribune, Kayla Harrison has been forced out of her highly anticipated fight with Amanda Nunes on the first-ever Paramount card. It was reported that Harrison suffered herniated discs in her neck and underwent surgery to address the issue. The MMA community reacted immediately, with many fans disappointed given the significance of the event. Some fighters even offered to step in, including boxer Amanda Serrano, who publicly expressed her willingness to replace Harrison and praised Nunes in the process. As of now, the expectation is that Kayla Harrison could be ready to return within 6 months, potentially lining the fight up for June or July. That timeline could make the matchup viable for the UFC White House card. During a recent episode of the Ariel Helwani show, Daniel Cormier shared his thoughts, saying the UFC shouldn't rush Nunes into an interim title fight if Harrison is expected back relatively soon. Cormier explained that if Nunes were to lose while returning from time away, it could hurt the promotion's ability to maximize the eventual Harrison fight. Dana White himself has referred to Nunes versus Harrison as the greatest women's fight of all time, which makes the decision even more delicate. Kayla Harrison later released a video message confirming that she had surgery and apologizing to Amanda Nunes and the fans. She said recovery starts now and that she's trusting the process, believing everything happens for a reason. She assured everyone that she'll be back soon. With Harrison out, the UFC moved Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong into the co-main event slot for UFC 324 and promoted Rose Namajunas versus Natalia Silva onto the main card. O'Malley reacted to the news on social media, appearing surprised by the sudden change. As of now, it's unclear whether the co-main event will remain a 3-round fight or be extended to 5 rounds. More unfortunate news followed for UFC 325. Jimmy Crute announced that he's been forced to withdraw from his fight against Dustin Jacoby after suffering a ruptured ACL. In a video posted online, Crute said he was devastated by the injury but remains optimistic about returning stronger after recovery. The UFC has not yet announced a replacement opponent. The setbacks didn't stop there. Another fight scheduled for February 7th was also affected when Eric Nolan pulled out of his bout against Jose Enrique Souza. Souza responded on social media, accusing Nolan of backing out and stating that he's now waiting for a new opponent. That makes several consecutive fight cards impacted by late withdrawals. Finally, the MMA community erupted following comments made by Anthony Fluffy Hernandez on the Ariel Helwani show. Hernandez revealed that the UFC nearly prevented him from representing Mexico, requiring proof of residency and even birth certificates from both himself and his grandparents. He said he felt there was no special treatment and that he's had to earn everything in his career. Fans quickly reacted online, pointing out inconsistencies in how fighters are allowed to represent different regions. Many questioned why some fighters are given flexibility while others face strict scrutiny. The backlash sparked a broader debate about fairness and favoritism within the UFC. Fans argued that if this happened to Hernandez, it may have happened to others who simply haven't spoken out. The situation left many questioning whether fighters should be allowed to represent whichever country or region they feel connected to, regardless of birthplace. That's going to do it for today's update. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll see you next time.